What if one of the smartest reptiles on Earth has been misunderstood for decades? Most people expect a giant lizard to behave like, well, a lizard. Cold, distant, driven only by instinct. But thousands of Tegu owners tell a very different story. Their Tegus follow them through the house, wait outside doors, explore every room with endless curiosity. Some even seem excited when their favorite person walks in. So, what is really happening? Has this remarkable reptile somehow become the closest thing to a dog? Or is something even more fascinating taking place inside its mind? Today, we're exploring the hidden psychology of one of the world's most intelligent reptiles. One of the first things new Tegu owners notice is surprisingly simple. Their Tegu starts following them, room after room. Not running, not chasing, just quietly walking behind them. Many people immediately compare this behavior to a dog, but researchers believe something different may be happening. Tegus are naturally curious explorers. When a familiar person begins moving through the environment, following can become an efficient way to discover new opportunities, familiar routines, or even the possibility of food. Sometimes curiosity looks surprisingly similar to companionship. Unlike many reptiles that remain close to shelter, Tegus spend much of their lives exploring. Every new object, every unfamiliar smell, every open doorway becomes another puzzle waiting to be investigated. Researchers studying Tegu behavior have found that these large lizards are active foragers, constantly gathering information about their surroundings. To a Tegu, exploration isn't entertainment, it's how the world makes sense. After enough days together, something remarkable begins to happen. Your routine becomes part of your Tegu's routine. The lights turn on, breakfast arrives, the enclosure opens, you walk into the room. Researchers know reptiles are capable of associative learning. Repeated experiences allow them to recognize patterns that help predict what comes next. Your Tegu isn't reading a clock, it's reading your habits. Perhaps the biggest surprise is how relaxed some Tegus become around people. They don't always hide, they don't always run. Instead, they calmly observe. This isn't because they've forgotten their wild animals, it's because repeated positive experiences can gradually reduce uncertainty. Scientists call this habituation. The more predictable your behavior becomes, the less energy your Tegu needs to spend preparing for danger. And that's where something that looks remarkably like trust begins. One experience rarely changes a Tegu's behavior, but dozens of experiences can. Every calm interaction, every successful feeding, every gentle handling session. Together, they begin forming a library of expectations. Researchers studying reptile cognition have found that learning often happens through repeated outcomes rather than single events. Your Tegu isn't remembering every moment, it's remembering what usually happens. And sometimes, that is all an intelligent animal needs. If you've ever owned a Tegu, you've probably noticed something unusual. Nothing seems too boring to investigate. A shopping bag, a shoe, a cardboard box, a blanket left on the floor. Everything becomes worth inspecting. Researchers believe this curiosity is part of an active foraging lifestyle. In the wild, exploring unfamiliar objects may reveal food, shelter, or important information about the environment. Curiosity isn't a hobby, it's a survival strategy. Here's where Tegus begin separating themselves from many other reptiles. Researchers have found that Tegus are capable of solving simple problems to reach a reward. They can learn from experience, adapt their behavior, and improve with practice. This doesn't mean they think like dogs or people, but it does reveal something remarkable. Their decisions aren't always automatic. Sometimes they change because they've learned a better way. Many owners notice another fascinating behavior. Even with an entire room to explore, their Tegu eventually comes back, again and again. Not because it's seeking affection in the same way a dog might, but because you've become one of the most familiar and predictable parts of its environment. Your movements, your scent, your daily routine. Together, they create a pattern the Tegu has learned to understand. Sometimes familiarity is the strongest reason an animal chooses to stay close. Perhaps the biggest transformation isn't that a tegu becomes friendly, it's that uncertainty slowly disappears. At first, every sound feels important. Every movement deserves attention. But after months of calm, predictable experiences, those same moments become ordinary. Researchers call this habituation. The world hasn't changed, your tegu has simply learned which parts of it no longer require fear. Confidence in the reptile world isn't built overnight, it's built one peaceful experience at a time. This is where many people begin comparing tegus to dogs. A calm tegu may choose to stay in the same room as its owner, even when it has the freedom to explore elsewhere. That doesn't necessarily mean it experiences companionship the way a dog does. But researchers have shown that animals often spend more time near places, objects, and individuals associated with safe, rewarding experiences. To a tegu, your presence may simply represent something predictable. And in the natural world, predictability is one of the safest things an animal can find. Perhaps that's why your tegu doesn't always walk away. Sometimes it quietly chooses to stay. So, does your tegu actually think it's a dog? Probably not. Dogs evolved alongside humans for thousands of years. Tegus followed a very different path. What makes them so fascinating isn't that they behave exactly like dogs, it's that they arrive at surprisingly similar behaviors for completely different reasons. Curiosity, learning, experience, pattern recognition. These aren't uniquely mammalian abilities. They're tools that help many intelligent animals adapt to the world around them, and tegus happen to use those tools exceptionally well. Few reptiles combine curiosity, memory, and exploration quite like a tegu. Every doorway becomes a question. Every unfamiliar object becomes information. Every peaceful interaction becomes another lesson. Your tegu isn't wandering without a purpose. It's constantly updating its understanding of the environment. The more it learns, the more confidently it moves through the world. And perhaps that's the true intelligence of a tegu. Not speed, not strength, but the willingness to keep learning. Maybe that's why so many owners describe their tegu the same way. It acts just like a dog. Not because it fetches, not because it understands commands the same way, but because it learns routines, recognizes familiar experiences, explores with confidence, and often chooses to stay close to the people who have become part of its everyday world. In the end, people aren't comparing behavior, they're comparing the feeling those behaviors create. So, do tegus really act more like dogs and reptiles? In some ways, yes. Not because they believe they are dogs, but because intelligence can take many different forms. Through curiosity, experience, learning, and quiet observation, your tegu slowly built an understanding of the world and of the people who share it. Perhaps that's what makes these remarkable reptiles so unforgettable. Not that they stop being reptiles, but that they remind us intelligence doesn't always look the way we expect. If you've ever shared your home with a tegu, I'd love to hear your story. What behavior surprised you the most? Tell us in the comments below. And if you enjoy discovering the hidden psychology of reptiles, subscribe to Cold-Blooded Minds, because sometimes the most fascinating minds are covered in scales.